Ladies and gentlemen, as President and Vice-Chancellor of the University of Leicester, and by the authority of Senate and Council, I declare this congregation open. Please enjoy yourselves and please sit down. Distinguished guests, parents, families, and most importantly of all, graduates, good afternoon. We are here on a very special day, one of the most memorable of your lives, the culmination of years of education and the beginning of new careers or perhaps further study. You've worked and studied hard, and you have succeeded. You've done your job. And now, as President and Vice-Chancellor, it's my job to welcome you to this degree congregation, where we formally recognise your achievements. You're graduating from a university ranked among the top 1% worldwide, and you should be as proud of that as your assembled parents and loved ones are of you. As proud as those of us who've been charged with overseeing your research, marking your essays, or assessing your projects, and watching your thoughts evolve. As you leave, you take with you a range of new skills. You can write dissertations, solve complex problems, work in teams, take on testing exam questions, solve simultaneous equations, quote from philosophers. And as a result, you have some new letters after your name. And these will give you a greater chance of the professional life that you seek. But what you've experienced here is even deeper than that. Our purpose is to equip you not just with an education, but with something broader, with the spirit of intellectual inquiry, with a deep curiosity, and with the resilience and the resources to go out into the world and go a long way. You have the chance to make a difference. And there are certainly some challenges ahead that your generation will have to grapple with. Climate change, population ageing, antibiotic resistance, the list goes on. And who would have guessed that just a matter of months ago, the UK would be leaving the European Union? Or that Donald Trump would be in the White House? Or that Leicester City would have won the Premier League? Indeed, the big bookmakers got it wrong. If you put a £10 bet down on those three outcomes, you stood to earn £30 million. We trust that the education you've received here will make you well placed to deal with some of these challenges. Those who've taught you, some of whom are here today on the stage, are passionate about education. But they're also passionate about research, and they're world famous because of it. You'll have heard of our discovery of Richard III under a famous Leicester City car park, a discovery that itself might have been worth a bet, given that our archaeologists predicted confidently before they began the work that there was a chance of about 1 in a million of finding those bones. Quite surprising then that the bones they found in the very first hole they dug in that car park turned out to be those of King Richard. But we're famous for many advances that span the full range of our academic disciplines. You may have picked up on the news today and over the last few days that the University of Leicester is the only UK university involved in NASA's Juno mission, which has sent a probe 600 million miles to Jupiter to capture close-up images of the planet, described by NASA as their most difficult mission ever. Our geologists have discovered a 430 million year old fossil of a new species, which has been named in honour of Sir David Attenborough, who himself, of course, had his own childhood fossil collection right here on campus, where he and his brother Richard Attenborough grew up. Some decades ago, his father was doing my job. This past year, in particular, has also been one of momentous change for the university. We've launched a new business school, which will be moving into a new extension to our campus on the London Road. We've secured £15 million from the government to build phase 1 of our first science park, which will focus on the space industry. We've just established our first international campus in China, in collaboration with Dalian University of Technology, one of the top 25 out of 2,000 Chinese universities. And the popularity of our university here in the UK continues to rise. Last year, we saw the biggest recruitment of students in the university's history, and we're on track to beat this record again this year. Finally, I should also mention that the university is enjoying a record-breaking year of philanthropic fundraising. We've seen an increase of between 300% and 400% in philanthropic income over the last year, and this compares with an average rise for universities in the UK as a whole of only 23%. These include thousands of gifts, some very small, from alumni, from friends, but there have also been some very large gifts. 2.8 million for kidney research from Jimmy Mayer and his family. A recent £1 million gift from Leicester City Football Club. Another £2 million gift from a local charitable trust which has allowed us to establish a new foundation year for our medical degree programme. Sadly, in the UK as a whole, medical education has traditionally been seen as a career for those from privileged backgrounds. 80% of medical students come from only 20% of schools in the UK. 1/4 of medical students are from private school, and 50% of secondary schools have never had a pupil apply for a medical degree. We want to change this. There are bright children everywhere, even if their schooling has not provided them with the grades or the ambition to aspire to the medical profession. This gift will bring selected children to the university to study a foundation year, which will prepare them for entry into the full medical programme. Children who probably never dreamt that they might have a chance to study medicine at university. As you can tell, much is changing here at the university, and we hope that you will continue to keep an eye on how we're getting on. You're graduating at a particularly exciting time as we look to the university centenary, which we'll commemorate between 2018 and 2021. It was in 1918, following the dark years of World War I, that local residents in the city decided that they wanted to create a living memorial to those who'd fallen. We're the only university in the UK, and one of only 2 in the world, that were established in this way. It's reflected in our motto, Ut vitam habeant, that they may have life. It was in 1921 that we took in our first students who some years later graduated, all 9 of them. Things have certainly moved on, as this week we'll see over 3,500 students come across this stage. For all of you who are graduating today, I hope that you'll be proud of your university and that you'll remember and reflect on its beginnings. There will inevitably be ups and downs in the years ahead, but if we've done our job right, if we've equipped you with the right skills and with the values of our university, you will find your way through. We fully expect to be as proud of you in the future as we are today. I congratulate you on the degrees you've obtained, and on behalf of the University of Leicester, I wish you every success. Well done.
Will all graduates please stand?
By the authority of Senate, I admit candidates, both present and absent, for the several degrees for which they are presented. Enjoy your day, and please be seated.
Nicholas Green graduated in law from the University of Leicester in 1980. He then completed a master's degree in Toronto, Canada, and a PhD in Southampton. Nicholas was called to the bar at the Inner Temple in 1986, and he made his name in a landmark case, Factor Tame versus the Secretary of State for Transport. What better case could there be for a young barrister to make an impression than a direct confrontation between the government and the European Union, and to win the case against the government of Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. In 1980, Spanish fishermen began to fish in British waters by registering their trawlers in the United Kingdom, taking advantage of a legal loophole. The government prohibited this by legislation that any trawler company seeking to register in the UK had to have 75% British ownership. When Spain joined the European Union in 1986, the stage was set for a conflict between EU law and UK law. Factor Tame Limited versus the Secretary of State for Transport was a judicial review case that taken against the United Kingdom government by Factor Tame, a company of Spanish fishermen, who claimed that the United Kingdom had breached European Union law by requiring ships to have a majority of British owners if they were registered in the UK. The case produced a number of significant judgments in British constitutional law, and was the first time courts held that they had the power to restrain the application of an Act of Parliament when it was found to be contrary to EU law. Sir Nicholas joined the Factor Tame team of counsel in 1991 from Brick Court Chambers, and he acted in the case for 10 years. He represented Dutch and Irish companies that worked in consortia with Spanish company vessel owners called Factor Tame. Factor Tame, in fact, was the name of a particular fishing vessel which was decommissioned, but the name was kept because it was known in the courts and the public imagination. Sir Nicholas' involvement included appearing as counsel in the High Court, the Court of Appeal, the House of Lords, the European Court of Justice. Sir Nicholas recalls, "The case was great fun. I remember many meetings in chambers when the counsel team would sit around trying to work out what constitutional enormity we could topple next." Sir Nicholas' meteoric rise continued when he was appointed Queen's Counsel in 1998. He became UK Permanent Representative to the Council of Bars and Law Societies of Europe between 2000 and 2002. Also in 2002, he was appointed Bencher, that is Senior Barrister of the Inner Temple, and made Recorder in 2004. From 2009 to 2010, Sir Nicholas was elected Chairman of the Bar Council, the professional body of all barristers in England and Wales, and in 2011 he became Joint Head of Brick Court Chambers. His appointment as Judge of the High Court of Justice, Queen's Bench Division, followed in 2013, and he was made a Knight Bachelor in the same year. Sir Nicholas is the first law graduate of the University of Leicester to be appointed as a Judge of the High Court of England and Wales. There can be no more than 108 High Court judges, and the appointments are made by Her Majesty the Queen on the recommendation of the Lord Chancellor and based on decades of distinguished work in the legal profession. Any university would be proud of an alumnus who becomes a High Court judge. However, we are especially gratified in Leicester that one of our own graduates, who is not from the privileged background of private education and Oxbridge, has achieved the highest accolade of the legal profession. Sir Nicholas is held in high regard by his judicial colleagues and has been assigned several high-profile cases, most recently a judicial review of the decision of the Secretary of State for Health to impose a contract on junior hospital doctors. Sir Nicholas has contributed to the life of the university in many ways. He has regularly participated in law school activities, giving lectures and talks to students and staff, as well as judging extracurricular court competitions. He has been an honorary professor since 2014, and in November 2016, he played a leading role in the law school's Golden Jubilee celebrations, delivering a keynote lecture in honour of the founding professor of the law school, Professor Jan Grodecki. The lecture was called The Common Law After Brexit. Sir Nicholas stressed the importance of students continuing to study EU law, as it will be the basis of major changes in UK law. And, of course, this process will provide employment for lawyers for many years to come. In the Gilbert and Sullivan opera Iolanthe, the Lord Chancellor describes the law as the embodiment of everything that is excellent. Sir Nicholas surely lives up to this aspiration as a result of his outstanding contribution to the legal profession and to society. He has brought credit to the university and embodies our aim of opening up pathways to achievement that have traditionally been dominated by entrenched patterns of privilege. Sir Nicholas is an inspiration to present generations of Leicester law students as a person of the highest profession and distinction and public service, who is living proof that there is no limit on what a Leicester graduate can achieve. Mr. President and Vice-Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate and Council, I present Nicholas Nigel Green that you may confer upon him the degree of Doctor of Laws.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done. Very impressive career.
President, Vice-Chancellor, Lord Lieutenant, my Lord Mayor, fellow graduands, and very young members of the audience who I hear are present today. I recall vividly sitting in this hall wearing my gown and mortar exactly as you do now, waiting for my turn to ascend the platform. I remember walking up the stairs and that brief moment when the degree was handed over, and I have photographic proof. My parents were in the audience, just as many of yours are today. Indeed, my mother is here today, though sadly my father is not. He saw me sworn in as a High Court judge, but he did not make it to this ceremony. And so here I am again, 37 years later, on the same stage, and I have a feeling of imposter syndrome. Listening to the oration, a mistake has surely been made. When a life is distilled into 10 minutes of highlights and with the numerous lowlights diplomatically airbrushed out, the resulting image may be more flattering than the truth, but I nonetheless accept that portrayal with gratitude. It did, however, make me wonder what it was about my time at Leicester that gave me such a solid platform. I most certainly gained a rigorous education in the law from the faculty. The quality of the teaching staff was exceptionally high. The faculty was progressive. We had a wide array of academic options to choose from, which at the time was novel in law faculties across the country. When I came here in 1977, the United Kingdom had been in the European Union for just a few years. We were amongst the very first students to learn European law, and I was intrigued by the subject. It mixed all sorts of different disciplines, ranging from international law through constitutional law to private law. It was exotically different to the much drier subjects that we were also studying, such as land law and equity. And it focused upon an issue that has fascinated me ever since, namely the relationship between the individual and the state. The faculty was also the first in the country to introduce a course in competition or antitrust law. We were taught about how the law interacted with economics, and this included the regulation of cartels, monopolies, and mergers. And it was being introduced to these topics and these subjects that stimulated the interests that shaped the next 25 years and more of my career. But equally important, I grew up during my years in Leicester. I have to say that the students who attended the university in the late 1970s were a pretty cool generation. We were post the Beatles, This was the era of punk rock, but also Electric Light Orchestra and the Rolling Stones. In this very hall, in 1978, I saw The Clash perform. They were one of the very first punk rock bands. They started a craze for pogo dancing, when you jumped up and down and you crashed horizontally into the person next to you. The greater the volume of beer consumed, the more violent and dangerous the dancing. Many students then sported brightly coloured spiky hair. Pink and green were very popular. Huge safety pins were inserted through noses, ears, lips, and other body parts. I suspect that certainly amongst the parents there are quite a few ex-punks in the audience. Yes, I see a few nodding. I'm tempted to ask for a show of hands. Punk rock, I have to confess, was not quite my style. My wife, whom I met on my very first day as an undergraduate, would fall about laughing if I ever claimed to have been cool. I was much more ELO and Mr. Blue Sky, although I did think punk rock actually was rather loud and dangerous. I did see David Bowie live when he was in his Ziggy Stardust phase. I learned many valuable lessons, valuable life skills during my time here. Leicester then was a magnet for immigration from the subcontinent, and there were some fantastic Indian restaurants. One was on Highfield Road, just off the London Road, where after a few pints in the Marquis of Wellington, still here, but it's a bit more upmarket these days, we would go for a curry. It was there that I learned how to eat ridiculously hot vindaloos. Curry eating competitions were very popular, particularly amongst the rugby teams. The campus has, in fact, changed little since then. Certainly a few new buildings have been squeezed in, but the basic layout remains the same. It still feels immediately familiar. For 2 years, I lived in a house on Salisbury Road, literally 50 metres, 60 metres away from here. There were 7 young men in this house. We kept the kitchen just as clean as you no doubt kept yours. The houses are still there. They look no different, though now they're occupied as faculty offices. The law faculty in the late 1970s was very small by modern standards. There were 100 students per year, 300 students across the entire faculty, and only 3,000 or 4,000 across the entire university. But the faculty, even now, does not feel different. I'm sure that the books in the Harry Peach Library have not changed at all since the days when I used to sit there and attempt to write essays. Longhand, there were no laptops in those days. Many of my fellow students went on to achieve considerable success, just as no doubt you will. One became a minister in the last coalition government, and he is still an MP. Another became the Chief Constable of the Metropolitan Police in London, the most senior policing position in the country. Another is one of the most talented and senior criminal judges in the country, and another is now a leading Queen's Counsel practicing in commercial law. The fact that I enjoyed my time in the faculty so much meant that I was reluctant when I graduated to embark on any sort of real work. So I applied to do a master's degree in Canada, and I was offered a place and a scholarship at the University of Toronto. When I headed off, these were the days before mobile phones and computers, we used to communicate with home by letter, or good old-fashioned landline. In Canada, I took courses in Canadian company law, intellectual property, and constitutional law. I wrote a thesis on comparative competition law. More importantly, much more importantly, I spent time travelling around Canada and took advantage of the close proximity of New York to Toronto. I was in New York with fellow master students on the 8th of December 1980 when John Lennon of the Beatles was shot. We were staying in a hostel just a couple of blocks away. When I returned to the UK and to my first academic post in Southampton in 1981, I was only a year or so older than the students I was expected to teach. When in Canada, I received a letter from the Dean at Southampton telling me in broad terms what it was that I was expected to educate the students in: contract, tort, European law. When I arrived in Southampton, the Dean, a very distinguished professor, said, "Nick, I forgot to tell you that you're going to teach company law and partnership starting on Monday." I replied, "But I've never studied company law as an undergraduate." He said, "Never mind, just swat it up. Keep a week ahead of the students." That is what I did. I rapidly began to learn the art of advocacy, which is how to trick an audience into thinking you actually know more than you do. Something I spent the next two decades doing to judges. This was an essential skill for a young academic. When a student asked me a question that I could not answer, I learned to say, "That's a very good question, but you really should know the answer. Research it and tell me it next week." Less successful as an answer was the following: "Good question, does anyone else want to propose an answer?" This was not such a good approach, because if someone else did suggest an answer, I was then expected to know whether it was right or wrong. In 1985, I left academia for the bar, and I was called to the bar in 86, and then I embarked upon 20 years of practice, some of which the orator has mentioned. Throughout that period, my grounding in legal principles received in the faculty here never left me. And then 4 years ago, I was appointed to the High Court bench. There are just over 100 High Court judges. We're a close and collegiate group. We are in the same building as the Court of Appeal, which is another 30-odd judges, and we form a strong collective. We all have chambers or offices in the Royal Courts of Justice on the Strand in London. The Royal Courts of Justice it's a bit like Harry Potter's Hogwarts. It's over 150 years old, and from appearances has not been modernised since. On the non-public side of the building, there are nearly 3 miles of corridors and nearly 1,000 rooms. The main courts are extraordinary Victorian panelled rooms with vast vaulting ceilings. My work, though, still reflects many of the interests that I first developed at Leicester. I do quite a lot of judicial review involving questions of economic regulation or constitutional, international and EU law. Though part of my time is spent trying generally high-profile criminal cases, usually murders, but sometimes cases with a political element in them. In my own mind, there is a very real continuity between the time I spent here over 30 years ago and what I do now. According to tradition, in drawing a response to an end, I'm supposed to offer words of wisdom to you who are graduating and embarking upon the world of work into the profession, public service, academic world, or private sector. And I should start with something classical and portentous. I should perhaps say carpe diem. This was the advice set out in 23 BC by the Roman poet Horace, who in his work, the Odes, coined that phrase. Translated, it means seize the day. When so-called wise people say this to you, we're meant to be encouraging you to leave here, to leave this ceremony, and immediately turn to consider your futures. We're meant to inspire you to take hold of your achievement in graduating and immediately use it as a platform or a stepping stone to go on to great things. In other words, don't hang about. Actually, I think my generation should show some self-awareness in the advice that we give. Political events of recent times do not show us to be as wise as we would care to believe. We do not always remember that the future is yours, not ours. In fact, the full line in Horace's poem, translated, says, "Seize the day, put very little trust in tomorrow." So my advice to you is a little bit different. I'd like you to consider putting off or deferring the seizing of the day, maybe until the week after next, or even until the end of the summer. In the meantime, have a few drinks, get down to a bit of serious hedonism, enjoy the weather, chill out on the beach or in the park. There will be plenty of time for some serious carpe dieming later on. You have worked incredibly hard, and frankly, you deserve some time off. And when you do come finally to consider seizing the day, do remember that as a graduate of this wonderful university, the world out there truly is yours to seize. So good luck and thank you.
Vice-Chancellor, as Head of the College of Social Sciences, Arts and Humanities, I present the following candidates for their degrees. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Mariam Al-Atta. David Maddock.
Congratulations, David. Well done.
Emma Reddy.
Congratulations, Emma. Well done.
Marguerite Chippers.
Congratulations. Well done.
Susanna Shimwell.
Congratulations, Susanna. Well done.
Emily Wills.
Well done, Emily. Congratulations. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Laws in International Human Rights Law, Mohammed Salim.
Well done, Mohammed. Congratulations. Well done.
Shazia Tayoub.
Congratulations, Shazia. Congratulations. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Laws, Amy Stacey.
Well done, Amy. Congratulations. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Arts in Applied Linguistics and TESOL, Giovanni Licata.
Congratulations, Giovanni. Well done. Well done.
Samavia Mumtaz.
Congratulations. Well done.
Zeynep Senturk.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Arts in English Language and Linguistics, Joanne Bondin.
Well done, Joanne. Congratulations. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Arts in the Country House, Jordan David Smith.
Well done, Jordan. Congratulations. Well done.
For the postgraduate certificate in Teaching English for Academic Purposes, Tim Dittman.
Congratulations, Tim. Well done. Well done.
For the degree of Bachelor of Laws in Law, Noreen Adjayi.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Omotola Ajibola.
Great cheer. Well done.
Ayusha Ali.
Well done. Well done.
Saeed Ali.
Well done, Saeed. Congratulations.
Jessica Allen.
Well done, Jessica. Congratulations.
Janki Amin.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Paige Archer.
Well done, Paige. Congratulations. Well done.
Mariam Arshad.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Uke Orim Kari Ashong.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Folarin Asolo.
Congratulations. Well done.
Kieran Attow.
Well done, Kieran. Congratulations.
Ramanique Athwal.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Temideo Banwo.
Congratulations. Well done.
Bethany Baxter.
Well done, Bethany. Congratulations.
Sarah Bean.
Well done, Sarah. Congratulations. Well done.
Louisa Beckwith.
Well done, Louisa. Congratulations.
Sana Burton.
Well done, good chair there. Well done.
Joseph Brady.
Congratulations.
Paulina Broder.
Well done, Paulina. Congratulations.
Jonathan Brooks.
Well done, Jonathan. Congratulations. Well done.
Shawana Brown Kerr.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Nurnisha Shehzadi.
Congratulations. Well done.
Leanne Campbell.
Well done, Leanne. Congratulations.
Leung Chan.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Kuang Chin.
Congratulations. Well done.
Shin Chua.
Congratulations.
Shan Shan Claxton.
Congratulations. Well done.
Kimberly Clifton.
Well done, Kimberly. Congratulations. Well done.
Rebecca Colton.
Well done, Rebecca. Congratulations.
Cameron Connolly.
Well done, Cameron. Congratulations. Well done.
Miriam Dean.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Luisa Damasthenos.
Well done, Louisa. Congratulations.
Rajvinda Damrate.
Congratulations. Well done.
Lois Drury.
Congratulations. Well done.
Navjot Dugal.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Susan Erbil.
Well done, Susan. Congratulations.
Nke Puikana Ek Tukudu.
Congratulations. Well done.
Omatola Faleyi.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Maithal Fayed.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done. Well done.
Catherine Fitzmaurice.
Well done, Catherine. Congratulations. Well done.
Christina Ford.
Well done, Christina. Congratulations.
Lauren Garner.
Well done, Lauren. Congratulations.
Michael Gulielmos.
Well done, Michael. Congratulations.
Lucy Gregory.
Well done, Lucy. Congratulations.
Joshua Jesse.
Well done, Joshua. Congratulations.
Catriona Haynes.
Well done, Catriona. Well done.
Shehzad ul Haq.
Well done, Shehzad. Congratulations.
Jake Hart.
Well done, Jake. Congratulations. Well done.
Anusha Hegder.
Well done, Anisha. Congratulations.
Imogen Higgins Smith.
Well done, Imogen. Congratulations.
Lauren Hilton.
Well done, Lauren. Congratulations.
George Hinchmore.
Well done, George. Congratulations.
Bradley Hopkinson.
Well done, Bradley. Congratulations.
Fairuz Huck.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Liam Hoskins.
Congratulations, Liam. Well done.
Harleen Hundal.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Omar Hussain.
Well done, Omar. Congratulations.
Saniya Iftikhar.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Magdalene Ioannidou.
Congratulations. Well done.
Bradley Johnson.
Well done, Bradley. Congratulations. Well done.
Gurpreet Kaur.
Congratulations. Well done.
Anna El Kabani.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Sean Kelly.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done.
Olivia Kersey.
Well done, Olivia. Congratulations.
Devinda Katra.
Well done, Devinda. Congratulations. Well done.
Agnieszka Kościelka.
Congratulations, well done.
Charlotte Mun Ching Kwok.
Well done, congratulations.
Kristen Lung Wei Mun.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Sun Young Lim.
Congratulations, well done.
Siddharth Lakhanpal.
Congratulations, well done.
Kirtan Lali.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Mohammed Jabril Latif.
Congratulations, Mohammed, well done, well done, well done.
Olayemi Lawal.
Congratulations, well done.
Stephanie Leggett.
Well done, Stephanie, congratulations, well done.
Carly Lightfoot.
Congratulations, Carly, well done, well done.
Chin Pai Lin.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Bethan Livings.
Congratulations, Bethan, well done, well done.
Stephanie Ann Loring.
Well done, Stephanie, congratulations.
Rebecca Lockwood.
Well done, Rebecca, congratulations.
Y. Lowe.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Owain Lord.
Congratulations, well done.
Abigail Lynch.
Well done, Abigail, congratulations.
Hill Yoi Mack.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Iwomazino Malaka.
Nice big cheer, well done.
Subhana Manikaratnam.
Well done, congratulations, well done.
Antonita Mariathas Anthony.
Congratulations, well done.
Vicky Massey.
Well done, Vicky, congratulations, well done.
Manisha Matthews.
Well done, Manisha, congratulations.
Maureen Maybay.
Congratulations, well done. Well done.
Remy Mbugwa.
Congratulations, well done.
Anna McCormack.
Well done, Anna, congratulations.
Connor McCormick.
Well done, Connor, congratulations, well done.
Joshua McLean.
Well done, Joshua, congratulations.
Alexandra Michael.
Well done, Alexandra, well done.
Marcus Miller.
Well done, Marcus, congratulations.
Rasheen Moore.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Alexander Moody.
Well done, Alexander, congratulations.
Zoe Morris.
Well done, Zoe, well done.
Fatmath Nabaha.
Congratulations, well done.
Gavanya Nagarajan.
Congratulations, well done.
Selena Naidu.
Well done, Selena, congratulations, well done.
Joseph Nastili.
Well done, David, congratulations.
Isabel Ing.
Well done, Isabel, congratulations.
Ka Ue Ing.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Christine Ogunsola.
Well done, Christine, congratulations, well done.
Abiola Ojo.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Nafisa Olajide.
What a big cheer, well done.
Uluwashikime Olawele.
Congratulations, well done.
Rebecca Alokan.
Well done, Rebecca, congratulations.
Jenna Opong.
Congratulations, well done.
Chima Orji.
Well done, congratulations.
Yasmina Osai.
Congratulations, well done.
Stacey Owusu.
Congratulations, well done.
Katie Palmer.
Well done, Katie, congratulations.
Nicholas Panayotou.
Well done, Nicholas, congratulations.
Maria Elena Papacosta.
Congratulations, well done.
Deviki Patel.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Mohammed Patel.
Well done, Mohammed, congratulations, well done.
Maria Pavlou.
Congratulations, Maria, well done.
Ruth Peris.
Well done, Ruth, congratulations, well done.
Brandon Pickard.
Well done, Brandon, congratulations, well done.
Anna Pitter.
Congratulations, Anna, well done.
Ellis Potter.
Well done, Alice, congratulations, well done.
Samuel Pounds.
Well done, Samuel, congratulations.
Mariam Raja.
Congratulations, Anna, well done.
Yasuri Ramuta.
Congratulations, well done.
Inram Remtula.
Well done, Imran, congratulations, well done.
Zohal Safi.
Well done, Zohal, congratulations.
Ahmad Salim.
Congratulations, well done.
Paramdeep Sandhu.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Jaspreet Sangha.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Kara Satapunvarnit.
Congratulations, well done.
Bintu Sise.
Congratulations, well done.
Zamzam Sheikh.
Congratulations, well done.
Francesca Sims.
Well done, Francesca, congratulations.
Manjut Singh.
Well done, Manjeet, congratulations.
Shrina Soki.
Congratulations, well done.
Erna Soljanin.
Congratulations, well done.
Georgia Stock.
Well done, Georgia, congratulations.
Milena Strass.
Congratulations, well done.
Thiran Sundar.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Nikolai Sure.
Well done, Nikolai, congratulations.
Derek Tan.
Well done, Derek, congratulations, well done.
Yu Kit Tang.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Alexander Taylor.
Well done, Alexander, congratulations.
Daniel Taylor.
Well done, Daniel, congratulations, well done.
Rachel Taylor.
Well done, Rachel, well done.
Tharani Thiagarajan.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Phoebe Thomas.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Adam Tilley.
Well done, Adam, congratulations.
Lucas Tomaszewski.
Well done, Lucas, congratulations, well done.
Georgia Trifonidou.
Well done, Georgia, congratulations, well done.
Melinda Underdown.
Well done, Melinda, congratulations, well done.
Ahmed Usman.
Well done, Ahmed, congratulations.
Francesca Vaughan.
Well done, Francesca, congratulations.
Serbi Verma.
Well done, congratulations.
Suhani Visana.
Well done, Suhani, congratulations.
Eve Whitehead.
Well done, Eve, congratulations.
Holly Whitehouse.
Well done, Holly, congratulations. Well done.
Oliver Wilson.
Well done, Oliver, congratulations.
Hannah Winslade.
Well done, Hannah, congratulations.
Anne Wong.
Congratulations, Anne, well done, well done.
Amy Wood.
Well done, Amy, congratulations.
Alexandra Zinudin.
Well done, Alexander, congratulations.
Siti Zakaria.
Congratulations, Susie.
Evaras Sigaras.
Well done, Evaras, congratulations, well done.
Nika Zupancic.
Congratulations, well done.
For the degree of Bachelor of Laws in Law, Senior Status, Olajide Adapitan.
Well done, congratulations.
Christabel Selma Arnafori.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Thavisha Anthony.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Rahisha Augustine Perry.
Congratulations, well done.
Rashmi Bale.
Well done, Rashmi, congratulations.
Muazzam Dangana.
Well done, congratulations, well done.
Halima Damola Sariki.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Charlotte Dickinson.
Well done, Charlotte, congratulations, well done.
Adesi Egwebuke.
Congratulations, well done.
Brett James.
Well done, congratulations.
Imdad Hussein Junejo.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Archit Kapil.
Well done, Archie, congratulations.
Hakirat Koza.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Leah Knowles.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Morgan Knox.
Well done, Morgan, congratulations.
Rina Kojima.
Congratulations, well done.
Andrea Levstick.
Well done, Andrea, congratulations.
Jessica Luong.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Adil Malik.
Well done, Adil, congratulations.
Corinne Miller.
Well done, Corinne, congratulations.
Uchenna and Udo.
Congratulations, well done.
Ololoyi Oyedosun.
Well done, congratulations.
Arti Patel.
Well done, Martin. Well done, well done.
Claire Pennells.
Well done, Claire, congratulations.
Prashita Severaratnam.
Congratulations, well done.
For the degree of Bachelor of Laws in Law and Criminology, Emil Agob Agobiani.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Jessamy Bloom.
Congratulations, well done.
Kaylee Falkus.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
Jack Gamble.
Well done, Jack, congratulations.
Andrew Gilligan.
Congratulations, Andrew, well done.
Hilda Hellendorn.
Well done, Hilda, congratulations.
Caitlin Mailman.
Well done, Caitlin, congratulations.
Faith Omebije.
Well done, Faith, congratulations.
Jaspreet Panasar.
Congratulations, well done.
Georgia Philippou.
Well done, Georgia, congratulations.
Meena Shah.
Well done, Mina, congratulations.
Anka Yulia Saw.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
For the degree of Bachelor of Laws in Law with a Modern Language, Skela Makubik Nangal.
Very good, Kira. Well done.
Tolulope Oyewusi.
Congratulations, well done.
For the degree of Bachelor of Laws in Law with a Year Abroad, Bilal Abbas.
Congratulations, well done.
Adewumi Adeyemi.
Congratulations, well done.
Catherine Buchanan.
Well done, Catherine. Congratulations, well done.
Jessica Gilbert.
Well done, Jessica. Congratulations, well done.
Lisa Goodrich.
Well done, Lisa. Congratulations.
Yayan King.
Congratulations, well done.
Nathan Lockett.
Well done, Nathan. Congratulations, well done.
Umwicha Nambela.
Congratulations, well done.
Afia Ofori Darko.
Congratulations, well done.
Ekena Ezina Nuwanyi Oji.
Congratulations, well done.
Sylvia Ombati.
Well done, Sylvia. Congratulations, well done.
Callum Phillips.
Well done, Callum. Congratulations, well done.
Eleanor Shute.
Well done, Eleanor. Congratulations, well done.
Serena Varatharajan.
Congratulations, well done.
Raveen Walker.
Congratulations, well done.
For the degree of Bachelor of Laws in Law with French Law and Language, Madia Irvine Nadarali.
Congratulations, well done, well done.
For the degree of Bachelor of Laws in Law with Politics, Tabitha Brown.
Well done, Tabitha. Congratulations.
Abigail Hart.
Well done, Abigail.
Matthew Jackson.
Well done, Matthew. Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Laws in Law Matrice, Elizabeth Ahmed.
Well done, Elizabeth. Well done.
Pierre Louis Hutt.
Congratulations, well done.
Veronica Kibsack.
Well done, Veronica. Congratulations.
Juliette Pettit.
Well done, Juliette. Congratulations.
Lucille Pontil.
Well done, Lucille. Congratulations.
Fabiana Alexandra Popescu.
Congratulations, well done.
Alice Shaw.
Congratulations, Alice. Well done.
Melanie van der Hayden.
Well done, Melanie. Congratulations, well done.
In our age of increasing specialisation, the term Renaissance man is applied too readily to people who happen to demonstrate one interest outside the area for which they are known. But Gordon Campbell is truly a Renaissance man, and not just because he is a very distinguished student of the literature of the Renaissance period. It is exceptionally difficult to summarise a man whose publications alone cover art, architecture, the Bible, classical antiquity, gardens, Islam, legal history, music, and the literature of many periods and countries, and who is without question the most travelled person in this hall today. Gordon was born in Surrey, his mother coming from minor gentry with a Royal Navy background. So far, so conventional. His father, however, was a Canadian entrepreneur of a rather buccaneering type. It is perhaps fanciful to see in this combination of propriety and adventurousness some of the influences which shaped the learned scholar with a thirst for travel and a readiness to pursue new business opportunities. Gordon himself would argue that stories about history and places told by one of his teachers were a more important stimulus to his wanderlust. After the war, the family moved to Canada, where Gordon took his first degree at Waterloo University and a master's degree covering both English and theology at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. Attentive listeners will note this early evidence of an unwillingness to be confined to one discipline. Serving as a bartender at a Shakespeare conference, Gordon asked where he could continue his studies in the UK and was directed to the University of York, a distinguished centre for Renaissance studies. His supervisor, Dinos Patrides, proved a demanding mentor of a sort which those doctoral students in today's audience may not have encountered, and which Gordon characterises as benign neglect. Supervision meetings were rare, but when they occurred, his work was shredded for 2 hours. The commitment to rigour and resistance to academic laziness have been consistent features of Gordon's intellectual life. The successful defence of his thesis on the 16th century logician Peter Ramus was followed by a first international academic appointment at Aarhus in Denmark, where he was greeted with the announcement that there was no syllabus, so could he have a go at 18th century poetry, nature poetry. This was followed by 5 years at the University of Liverpool, and then in 1979, encouraged by an old friend, Professor Sandy Cunningham, he came to this university, where he was promoted as Professor of Renaissance Studies some years later. In the English department, the Father Christmassy figure of our honorand was a popular and stimulating teacher to generations of students, his special subject of Milton attracting many more participants than might have been expected. And his fellow academic staff have found him a good-humoured, generous and supportive colleague. But a larger stage was always bound to beckon. In academic terms, this has meant participation in a range of learned societies. The list of Gordon's fellowships is considerably longer than those printed in today's programme. His chairmanship of the Society for Renaissance Studies reflects the standing he has in his own field, while the election to a fellowship of the British Academy is the highest honour in the humanities as a whole. The Warburg Institute in London, the foremost institute in the world for the study of cultural history, is perhaps its real intellectual home, providing a place for dialogue with leading scholars from the many disciplines to which Gordon contributes. His international activities also defy summary. As he puts it, he has travelled with scholarly intent to all 7 continents, taking in countries from Antigua to Uganda, Japan to Nepal. For this university, he pioneered international student recruitment in the early 1980s, when it was not common practice in British universities, so laying the foundations for the diverse multinational student community that Leicester now enjoys. Gordon has not limited his activities to places of safety and prosperity, as is illustrated by his work in South Africa, where he advised on funding inequities, in Beirut, where he was the first British academic visitor to venture there for 15 years, and in the West Bank, where he helped Palestinians in need of higher education after the Intifada. The precise nature of Gordon's international work has remained mysterious to colleagues in Leicester, though rumours do abound. What is clear is that his understanding of the Islamic world, combined with negotiating skills, has made him a highly regarded advisor to the British government in the development of agreements in that region, to which he has made over 100 visits. As founding chair of the British University's Iraq Consortium, he chaired meetings at ministerial level in Baghdad. He led negotiations with the Saudi Minister of Higher Education as part of a mission with the then Foreign Secretary Jack Straw, and he has drafted a cross-governmental strategy for the support of education in the Islamic countries. His publications as author or as editor similarly illustrate the breadth of his interests and his impressive intellectual grasp. Quantity is not the only measure of this, but it is noteworthy that he has some 27 books to his name and at least 100 articles, many on Milton, plus several thousand individual entries in the encyclopedias he has edited. In the last decade alone, his publications include John Milton, Life, Work and Thought, the Grove Encyclopedias of Classical Art and Architecture and of Northern Renaissance Art, Bible, the Story of the King James Version, and The Hermit in the Garden, From Imperial Rome to Ornamental Gnome. Unsurprisingly, he was involved in planning the reburial of Richard III in Leicester Cathedral in 2015, delivering a diplomatic eulogy, and he chairs the cathedral's Fabric Advisory Committee. He now spends much of his time in the USA, where he is responsible for substantial sections of a new Museum of the Bible opening in Washington later this year. Despite all his academic achievements and his international activities, Gordon has been a committed family man, sharing many of his travels with Mary and devoting himself to his children, who are with us today, and to his grandchildren. With Mary also he finds time for choral singing, of which I hope we will soon be given an example later in this ceremony, and to tend a beautiful garden and an allotment, though he credits Mary with this last. We honour Gordon Campbell today for the scholar and teacher that he is, and for his rare erudition, his remarkable energy, his services to international understanding and to the university. For the past 14 years, Gordon has stood at this lectern as public orator and delivered some of the most eloquent orations heard at this university. Cicero, one of the greatest orators of all time, said, "If you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need." One suspects that Gordon Campbell would echo that, but he would also insist on his passport and an air ticket. Today's orator cannot rise to the standards of a Cicero or a Campbell, but is privileged to say, "Mr. President and Vice-Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate and the Council, I present Gordon Roy Campbell that you may confer upon him the honorary degree of Doctor of Letters."
Gosh. Vice-Chancellor and President, Lord Lieutenant, Lord Mayor, colleagues, fellow graduands who have worked for their degrees, and families. I thank my friend, the public orator, for his kind and eloquent words. I thank the university for this extraordinary honour. The list of those whom this university has honoured with the degree of Doctor of Letters begins with E.M. Forster and includes luminaries such as David Attenborough and Desmond Tutu. I'm frankly astonished to have been added to the list, but I am delighted and hasten to accept before a mistake is discovered. I'm particularly pleased to be receiving this honor in the presence of my ever-supportive family in the balcony and my ever-supportive colleagues and our Lord Lieutenant on the stage. Now, I've been here for a long time, happily serving the cause of education for which I have voted with my life. When I arrived almost 40 years ago, the University of Leicester was a very different institution. It was a Midlands university that served the Midlands. and its reputation extended about as far as Oadby. It had fewer international students than any university in Britain. Now it has a global reputation, it attracts students from all over the world, and in the international league tables, as the Vice-Chancellor explained, is always near the top of the list. I think it's worth reflecting for a moment on how these changes came about. In my view, the most important factor has been the university's leadership. I've served under a series of immensely skilled Vice-Chancellors and registrars, and their work has been enhanced by good advice from chairs of council and treasurers who are the unpaid servants of the university. These are the people who have created an infrastructure for excellence in research that has transformed our global reputation. They have also insisted on hiring ever more qualified staff, so the younger members of staff now are markedly better qualified than was my generation. I don't think I would have got a job competing with today's entrants. The same people have consistently insisted on the importance of honouring the interests of our students. That means good teaching, but it also means personal support. When I arrived here, Leicester felt a bit like the Dr. Barnardos of the university world, in that lecturers were counsellors and careers advisors to their students. Now those functions have been professionalised, but the sense that we care about the well-being of our students has remained in place. Student satisfaction has now been institutionalised in surveys, but in the past we assessed it less formally. It was my practice to see my students individually at the end of the semester to ask them how they'd felt about the course. If I had succeeded in my attempts to make them trust me, they could be immensely helpful, sometimes inadvertently. I remember asking a student how she felt about our series of English Renaissance literature seminars. She replied that she hadn't enjoyed them at all. I pressed her on the reasons, and she replied that much of the time in seminars we were talking about 5 topics: religion, love, sex, politics, and death. And these were not proper subjects for polite people to discuss. I thought this was a rather shrewd account of the preoccupations of Renaissance literature, and for many years thereafter I opened the course with a lecture on the refractions of religion, love, sex, politics, and death in Renaissance literature. The number of students has grown over the years, and the student experience at Leicester continues to be a happy one. There has of late, however, been one unhappy development. My colleagues on the platform did not pay for their education, and indeed many had maintenance grants to sustain them at university. You have had to pay fees, and you emerge as graduates with an enormous burden of debt. No other country in Europe, including Scotland, imposes fees on university students. Successive British governments that have imposed and then raised fees have, in my view, acted shamefully, in effect creating a tax on knowledge and skills, and they should hang their heads in shame. These fees are also an intergenerational justice, because those who enjoyed free education are not being required to contribute to the cost of your education through taxation. Now, it's customary on these occasions for honorary graduates to offer a few words of advice to graduating students. It's difficult to do so without sounding pompous or platitudinous, both qualities of which come naturally to me. So I will instead issue you with 2 challenges. First, your degrees have given you knowledge and, equally importantly, analytical skills. These skills have been transformative in that you are all different people from the versions of yourselves at the beginning of your courses. These skills will make you employable, but they have also endowed you with the capacity for active citizenship beyond your job. You have educated views, but also the potential to act on those views, and I challenge you to do so. Join a community group, or a political party, or a charity, or support a cause that is dear to your heart. Having opinions is not good enough, even if they are educated opinions. Do something about it. Such actions have enriched my life and can enrich yours too. Secondly, I challenge you to defend Britain's universities and to support this university. Never forget the fine education that you have received here, and in time to come, do all that you can to assist this university and to enable others to enjoy the same advantages. And remember that you carry with you, wherever you go, the good name of the University of Leicester. Many thanks.
Handel's Messiah has a long association with Leicestershire. The text was chosen by Charles Jennings of Gopsall Hall, and the first performance in England was in the little village of Church Langton. Members of the University Chorus and Orchestra will now perform the Hallelujah Chorus from the Messiah. In this country, it is customary to stand for the Hallelujah Chorus, so I invite you to stand for this performance.
Hallelujah.
Pro Vice-Chancellor, for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English, Carrie Acrill.
Congratulations, Carrie.
Victoria Adewunmi.
Well done, Victoria.
Shoaib Ahmed.
Very well done.
Oliver Bagley.
Congratulations, Oliver.
Leira Barcinilla.
Well done, congratulations.
Alicia Bone.
Alicia, well done.
Courtney Bryan.
Courtney, congratulations.
Kian Brittle.
Well done, Kian, well done.
Cheng Chen.
Congratulations, well done.
Ayman Chishti.
Congratulations, Emma, well done.
Madeleine Crisp.
Congratulations, Madeline.
Keely Davis.
Well done, Keely. Congratulations.
Sarah Dorr.
Congratulations, Sarah.
Ariane Dean.
Marianne, well done. Congratulations.
Ajoke Debola Gabadebo.
Well done, Ajoke.
Mandeep Dillon.
Congratulations, well done.
Amina Dreer.
Well done, congratulations.
Eleanor Edwards.
Congratulations, Eleanor.
Avgi Fasuli.
Africa, well done.
Eloise Fry.
Congratulations, Eloise.
Natalie Garfield.
Well done, Natalie.
Hannah Geisler.
Congratulations, Hannah.
Jonathan Jilks.
Congratulations, Jonathan.
Holly Gooch.
Congratulations, Holly.
Claire Hackett.
Well done, Claire.
Amber Harrison.
Well done.
Kirsty Hayward.
Congratulations, Kirsty.
Jonathan Hope.
Well done, Jonathan.
Jessica Hughes.
Congratulations, Jessica.
Sophie Iliff.
Well done, Sophie.
Ikram Jama.
Congratulations, Ikram.
Alice Jarman.
Well done, Alice.
Francis Jones.
Congratulations, Francis.
Robert Jones.
Well done, Robert.
Emily Kearney.
Congratulations, Emily.
Janine Kettle.
Congratulations, Jenny.
Victoria Kizyova.
Congratulations, Victoria.
Vartika Kumar.
Congratulations.
Beth Langley.
Congratulations.
Imogen Leng.
Well done, Imogen.
Monica Leung.
Congratulations, Monica.
Matthew Lopez Bland.
Matthew, well done.
Abigail Mailer.
Abigail, congratulations.
Priyanka Makwana.
Congratulations, Bill.
Kaylee Merry.
Congratulations, Bill.
Lexi Mladenovich.
Congratulations, Dixie.
Amira Mohidin.
Amira, well done.
Fiona Morris.
Well done, Fiona.
Hayley Moss.
Hayley, congratulations.
Yasmin Musa.
Congratulations, Yasmin.
Alexander Nicholas.
Congratulations, Alexander.
Bethan Nutting.
Well done, Bethan.
Adam Page.
Congratulations, Adam.
Rhiannon Pinu.
Well done, Rhiannon.
Rajvi Purohit.
Congratulations.
Matthew Redman.
Congratulations, Matthew.
Oliver Ryan.
Well done, Oliver.
Bethany Shakespeare.
Congratulations, Bethany.
Harvinder Singh.
Well done, Harbinder.
Lisa Smalley.
Congratulations, Lisa.
Gemma Smith.
Well done, Gemma.
Anna Stokes.
Anna, congratulations.
Jennifer Turner.
Jennifer, well done.
Jade Vincent.
Congratulations, Jade.
Callum Ward.
Congratulations, Cal.
Ellis Ward.
Well done, Ellis.
Molly Washington.
Congratulations.
Ellen White.
Congratulations, Ellen.
Phoebe Witt.
Phoebe, well done.
Yuhan Wu.
Well done.
Joshua Wynne.
Congratulations, Joshua.
Chin Yi Tseng.
Really well done.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English and American Studies, Jonathan Bruce.
Congratulations, Jonathan.
Rachel Chapman.
Well done, Rachel.
Nishat Chowdhury.
Well done, Nicholas.
Harriet Clough.
Harriet, congratulations.
Louise Dixon.
Well done, Louise.
Jeremy Sumner.
Congratulations, Jeremy.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English and American Studies with a year abroad, Joseph Franklin.
Well done, Joseph. Congratulations.
Eleanor Howlings.
Eleanor, well done.
Thomas Irvin.
Congratulations, Thomas.
Jennifer Jackson.
Well done, Jennifer.
Jeanette Nam.
Jeanette, congratulations.
Gregory Smith.
Well done, Gregory.
Joseph Temple.
Congratulations, Joseph.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English and History, Emma Bramwell.
Congratulations, Emma.
Charis Buckingham.
Yes, well done. Congratulations.
Agne Chekute.
Well done. Congratulations.
George Curzon.
Well done. Congratulations.
Daniel Flavel.
Well done, Daria. Well done.
Joanna Grant.
Congratulations, Joanna.
Rosalind Hicks.
Well done, Rosalind.
Elizabeth Jackson.
Congratulations, Elizabeth.
Shannon Deep Kaur.
Well done. Congratulations.
Arandeep Kaira.
Congratulations. Well done.
Ja An Lee.
Well done. Congratulations.
Francis Oldfield.
Congratulations, Francis.
Casey Ralph.
Casey, well done.
Chloe Smith.
Chloe, congratulations.
Gabriella West.
Congratulations, Gabriella.
Catherine Whitehead.
Catherine, well done.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English and History with a year abroad, Khadija Karoma.
Congratulations, Khadija, well done.
Christian Smith.
Well done, Christian. Yeah.
Faye Turner.
Hey, congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English with a year abroad, Amy Albinson.
Amy, well done.
Emma Beswick.
Congratulations, Emma.
Charles Bird.
Charles, congratulations.
Emily Bird.
Well done, Emily.
Alicia Brown.
Well done, Alicia.
Megan Cadwallader.
Megan, congratulations.
Sophie Demetriadis.
Sophie, congratulations.
Rosanna Kettle.
Rosanna, well done.
Gemma Malone.
Well done, congratulations.
George Moran.
Congratulations, George.
Thomas Revel.
Well done, Thomas.
Lewis Roberts.
Congratulations, Lewis.
Edward Rowbottom.
Edward, well done.
Lucy Smith.
Congratulations, Lucy.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in European Studies, Claire Alchin.
Congratulations, Claire.
Estelle Irving.
Estelle, congratulations.
Thomas McVicker.
Congratulations, Thomas.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Film and Media Studies, Jonathan Dimmick.
Well done, Jonathan.
Iro Ijefi.
Congratulations.
Brianna Johnson.
Well done, Rihanna.
Erica Kalachka.
Congratulations, Eric.
Oi Watt.
Congratulations.
Callum Wynne.
Well done, Colin.
Ning Chin Zhang.
Well done, congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Film Studies and English, James Bullen.
James, congratulations.
Yelena Dukic.
Elena, well done.
Joshua Drury.
Joshua, congratulations.
Kelly Griffiths.
Congratulations, Kelly.
Simran Kaur.
Congratulations, Simran.
Veronica Komarovska.
Veronica, congratulations.
Mariam Rai.
Well done, Marianne.
Ashley Riley.
Congratulations, Ashley.
Charlotte Shears.
Well done, Charlotte.
Callum Sims.
Congratulations, Congratulations, Helen.
Timothy Astley.
Congratulations, Timothy.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Film Studies and Visual Arts, Alan Morton.
Well done, Alan.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in French and English, Rachel Kane.
Congratulations, Rachel.
Jai Pei Yang.
Okay, well done. Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in French and Italian, Jamul Hassan.
Congratulations, Jamul.
Catherine Hollins.
Congratulations, Catherine.
Tainara Lorani Silva Santos.
Congratulations.
Marcus Murray.
Well done, Marcus.
Alice Perchato.
Congratulations, Alan.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in French and Spanish, Rebecca Bishop.
Well done, Rebecca.
Pooja Bokharia.
Very well done.
Bethany Carter Bown.
Congratulations, Stephanie.
Oliver Chefs.
Well done, Oliver.
Melissa Cosgrove.
Well done. Congratulations.
Jenny Gonpotlal.
Well done. Congratulations.
Liam Hawksworth.
Well done, Liam.
Bonnie Rose Lancaster.
Congratulations. Well done.
Jacob Lee.
Congratulations, Jacob.
Alice Lorenzato Lloyd.
Alice, well done.
Sylvie Mostyn Dignan.
Sylvia, well done.
Bethany Sutton.
Congratulations, Bethany.
Anna Talaga.
Congratulations, well done.
Joshua Wells.
Joshua, well done.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History of Art, Gabriella Bukhari.
Congratulations, Gabriella.
Misha Davis.
Congratulations, Misha.
Amy Smith.
Well done, Amy.
Marie Smith.
Congratulations, Marie.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History of Art and English, Alice Duquette.
Well done, Alice.
Alexandra Pylobe Richardson.
Congratulations, Alexandra.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Italian and English, Aliki Trifonos.
Aliki, congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Italian and Spanish, Emily Deval.
Congratulations, Emily.
Connor Doyle.
Congratulations, Connor.
Rebecca Hyams.
Well done, Rebecca.
Emilia Kapash.
Congratulations, Emilia.
Dan Ronchetti.
Well done, Dan.
Hannah Wake.
Congratulations, Hannah.
Jordan Wood.
Congratulations, Jordan.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Modern Language Studies, Harry Bird.
Congratulations, Harry.
Georgina Hurst.
done, Regina.
Konstantina Loizidou.
Congratulations, Constantine.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Modern Languages with Film Studies, Caddy Edwards.
Abby, well done.
Jonathan Pfeiffer.
Jonathan, congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Modern Languages with Management, Helen Gaydon.
Well done, Helen.
Henry Graham.
Congratulations, Henry.
Grace Henry.
Well done, Grace.
Sebastian Lopez Carnavali.
Congratulations, Sebastian.
Elisha Martin.
Well done, congratulations.
Olayemi Otukoya.
Well done.
Chloe Sunderland.
Congratulations, Chloe.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Spanish and English, Carolina Dierda.
Congratulations, Caroline.
Ana Estevez Prata.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Translation and Interpreting, Lin Lin Sao.
Congratulations.
Yu Ling Lu.
Congratulations, well done.
For the degree of Bachelor of Laws, Mayowa Dosunmu.
Oh, congratulations.
Ayomide Oloyede.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English, Imana Watson Paris.
Congratulations, Imran.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English and American Studies, Sarah Ezeku.
Congratulations, Sarah.
Mr. President and Vice-Chancellor, I present to you this academic colleague who has been nominated for a University Distinguished Teaching Fellowship. In recognition of her imaginative contribution to teaching and learning within the School of Arts, in particular her passion for sharing her knowledge and expertise in innovative ways to inspire learning and enhance the student experience, Dr. Emma Staniland.
Ladies and gentlemen, graduates, congratulations. Ceremonies like these have been performed by universities across the world for centuries, and it will be a milestone that marks a new chapter in your lives. Today, you enter the worldwide community of more than 180,000 Leicester alumni, and your continuing success in the years to come will give us occasion for pride and celebration. Enjoy the rest of this memorable day, which we up here on the stage are honoured to have been part of. Carry the pride of Leicester with you. Well done. I declare this congregation closed.
Thank you.